新宿駅はどこですか？本当にください。Bueno, Akihabara, Ed Oliver. All right.
Check test 1 2 1 2 1 1 1 2. Check mic check 1 2 1 2.
So we have some ESA parents who are here to talk about the program after Superintendent Horne makes some remarks. We have Keisha Arnold here in the green. And then we have the Carrasco family, Francisco, and his wife, Ramona. And I'm sorry, I didn't get your daughter's name. Bianca. And then, of course, we have John Ward, our ESA director, and Janelle Wood, our liaison to parents. So those are the players and Superintendent Horne.
Thank you. So we called this news conference to celebrate School Choice Week. As some of you know, I was superintendent from 2003 to 2011, and then I was elected again more recently in 2023. In the last 3 years, we have increased the number of participants in ESA from 11,000 to over 100,000 in just 3 years. This illustrates the fact that the program is successful and appeals to parents. Now, I want to add that we still have 1.2 million students in the public schools, so the ESAs are not a threat to the public schools. But what they do is they give parents who feel that their child's needs are not being met in the local public school the ability to find a school that does meet the child's needs. And it's, my feeling has been that I can't understand how anybody would say that parents don't have a right, if the child's needs are not being met, to find a school that does meet the child's needs, unless they're so immersed in ideology that they forget about the needs of the students. ESA joins charter schools and open district enrollment as pillars of school choice in Arizona. Now we have streamlined a lot of the processes and made them a lot more efficient than they were previously. The call volume to program specialists is greatly reduced. Purchase and reimbursement timeline that once stretched into as much as 3 months is now virtually seamless. The department has initiated a technology-based consumer fraud tool. Arizona residency is automatically verified. One of the controversial things has been risk-based auditing. The reason this came about is that we have the same number of personnel to administer the program now that we had when the program was 11,000 students. Now, the same number of personnel to administer with over 100,000 students. And that puts tremendous strain on the administration ability. The House of Representatives last year had in their budget an increase in our personnel, and the governor said to them, if they didn't take it out, she would veto the budget, which would have produced a shutdown of the state government. So they took it out. So a lot of the problems that we have were caused by the governor making it so that the legislature could not increase our funding for administration as the legislature recognized was needed. The solution the legislature gave us was risk-based auditing, which is used in many contexts. Excuse me. Can ABC maybe fix their? No, got it. Okay. So under risk-based auditing, which the legislature has authorized, over $2,000 we audit before we pay it. Under $2,000, we send it out and then we audit, because if we didn't do that, the people would have to wait 3 months and more, and many people can't really afford that. So that was the idea of risk-based auditing, in the absence of having a proper staff, a proper size of staff to administer over 100,000 students when it was designed for 11,000 students. However, you need to know that under risk-based auditing, we do audit later, and when improper purchases are made, we get the money back. To date, we've gotten back $1.2 million in allowable expenses, either gotten the cash or in the process of getting it. If anybody refuses to pay us back, we terminate first we suspend them from the program until we're paid back, and then if they refuse to pay us back, we can terminate them from the program permanently for not paying back improperly spent money. And in that case, we send it to the county attorney for collection, and in extreme cases for criminal prosecution. At first, we sent it to the Attorney General, but she refused to do the prosecution, so we sent it now to the county attorney. Now, some people have questioned my authority to do this, to require that the expenditures be for a valid educational purpose and at a reasonable cost according to market prices to meet the needs of the students. We've had so far 20 appeals. My decision is not final. People can appeal to administrative law judges. We've had so far 20 such appeals. In every appeal, my authority to keep the system honest is in question. And in every single case, the administrative law judges have ruled our way and have ruled that I do have that authority. So we're 20-0. So when people question our authority, you can say, well, who are we going to believe, you or the 20 separate administrative law judges? The value of ESAs are illustrated by a family that has 3 children. 2 of them are doing just fine in the local public school, but even a good school doesn't necessarily meet everyone's needs. The 3rd child's needs are not being met. And so the family finds a school that does meet that 3rd child's needs. And as I said in the beginning, people who would question the family's right to find a school that meets the child's needs could only occur because they're so immersed in ideology that they forget the needs of the students. I'll be happy to answer questions after our other people speak. And I'm going to introduce now Ramona Carrasco.
Thank you. Good morning. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, because it's been 11 years. So thank you for having us. Thank you for the invite. My name is Ramona Carrasco. I'm a mom of 3 beautiful ladies. Let me start by saying I love public schools. Our Abigail and Cynthia graduated from public school and college. But when our Bianca, she's right there, started public school, the system failed her. Bianca was born with Down syndrome. She's high functioning and learns from seeing other kids. In school, she was in a special needs classroom. I kept asking the principal to give her a chance to do half day with typical kids her age. She kept saying there's no money. I'm a mom that always went to see my girls in school. I think they call us helicopter moms, because I was always seeing them. I would stop by her classroom and see her playing by herself, eating by herself. And what broke my heart was when she was going to graduate kindergarten. And I asked if they were going to do anything special for the class. And her teacher said, no cap and gown for these kids, because they will always stay in this classroom. I still get so mad. Wow. That's when I applied for the ESA funds and was surprised to see the amount Bianca got. When I went to the office to withdraw her from out of public school, the front desk lady told me I couldn't do that because Bianca belonged to the government. I was surprised to hear those words. I got so mad. So I signed the paperwork and I told her, watch me and walk away. It's been 11 years now. Bianca started at a private school where she was challenged, and by the 3rd month, she was writing her full name and last name and reading playing with her and eating with her friends. She was not alone anymore. The ESA has been a blessing for her and for us as a family. Now she's in high school and she's having fun and learning. We're using the ESA funds to do a mix of homeschool, classroom, online, and dancing. Thank you.
Very good.
You wanna
Thank you,
say
that's
hi?
great.
Thank you.
Um,
Say hi.
I'll now introduce Keisha Arnold.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keisha Arnold. I am an ESA mom, a recent ESA mom, who was kind of forced into this program, but I'm so glad I found it. So decided to come share my story with you guys, because I do believe children deserve a safe, supportive school system where they can learn and thrive. They require competent, accountable administration, and too often that is being missed. For 11 years, as a public school student, as a public school mom with students here, I faced repeated failures within the public school system for my adopted child, with delayed access to IEP services. She was pushed out of 3 schools by the 2nd grade. We endured years of unaddressed bullying at Tolleson High School. These weren't isolated incidents. They were results of systems unwilling to use the available resources to protect and support our students. After years of inaction, I took matters into my own hands and learned to utilize the Arizona Empowerment Scholarship Account program to ensure the education of my child and children, that they're getting what they deserve. This is all about accountability, student safety, and putting children first, because our kids can't afford to be ignored. And that's my message in regard to the ESA program.
Does anybody here that hasn't spoken want to speak? You want to say something? Go ahead.
I am Blanca. I am Mama, Papa.
You're with mom and dad?
There's a mommy. Those are the flips. And
You have to do flips,
yeah, the Saddle Boys.
dance with Soda Boys.
It's Lentano to the flips. And then I was there.
You have 2 sisters, Abby and Cynthia.
And I bought them out, the babe. And there's all the children this. Sister and you know the name?
Angel,
Yes, that's a babe.
talking about her sisters and their boyfriends. She has a talker, communication device, but she doesn't like, she's a teenager right now.
Mom! This is not about this. No, this is a blogger is blogger is okay, my friends.
Your friends? You have friends in school?
Mom,
Do you like math?
mom, please don't you. I did math. And my didn't work and mine did too, and
They teach you
mine
how to
too. And then
She's gonna
to
program that they teach her how to work and they take them out to work at different restaurants.
I
and
use this
places.
mommy. And mommy and papa.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
I had a Down syndrome child who passed away at the age of 3, so it warms my heart to see it. You do as well as you're doing. Anybody else want to say anything? If not, we're happy to take your questions.
Can you talk about how many staff members you guys have right now?
About how many what?
Staff members you have for ESA right now?
John can do that.
So we currently have 35 staff members on our team. We can afford about 42 staff members, so we're down a few, but we have 35 today.
And how many do we need, John, to service 100,000?
So if we had the staffing to actually operate this program and meet all of these service levels that families need, we would probably need to triple the size of our staff. At this point, we operate on about 0.4% of the dollars that we distribute in this program. I don't believe there's likely any other public program in this state that operates on that slim of a margin.
Have there been any updates with the Attorney General's office in their investigation and what they had asked you guys to do in recent months?
So I will only say that it's an ongoing investigation and we do keep in contact with them.
So you mentioned your staff size. Is that sort of the big ask now that the state is back in session? Is that the big ask from lawmakers is more
Yes.
funding for more staff?
We're asking them again. I'm hoping that if they, and they're receptive, and I'm hoping that the governor won't threaten to veto.
We've talked about this before, and you've talked about the money that you've gotten back, but 12 News found that over a 6-month period, there was over 1 million purchases for under $2,000 that you let through. We found thousands of instances where parents violated their contract and bought things they shouldn't have.
Right.
Why not just stop it now and revoke that? That would be tens of millions of dollars that you could recover.
As you heard me talk earlier, we've recovered, or in the process of recovering, 1.2 million. So we're doing exactly that. That's the idea of risk-based auditing. If somebody makes an improper purchase of under $2,000, we audit it afterwards, and when we find improper purchases, as obviously we have, we demand the money back. If we don't get the money back, then first of all, as soon as we discover it, we suspend the accounts until it's paid back. If they don't pay it back, they get terminated from the program forever, and we send it to the county attorney to collect, and in extreme cases for prosecution, criminal prosecution.
Can you talk about how many accounts have been suspended for under 2,000?
John?
So we currently have about 700 accounts whose purses have been suspended.
But specifically for the under 2,000?
Yeah, I don't have it differentiated between above and below the $2,000 threshold. I can get that for you, but we have 700 accounts that are suspended today. Again, done by about 10 people on our staff that review purchases.
I wanted to ask about the technology-based counter fraud tool. Yeah, what does that look like? And then was that something you developed with Class Wallet? And not to layer questions, but I know their contract is coming up, so do you plan to continue working with Class Wallet and extending their contract with the state?
So we are always in the mode of process improvement. So we have been working with them quite extensively to develop additional tools that would allow us to identify improper purchases. And so the tool that Superintendent Horne has referred to was completed back this past September, and so we've been implementing it since then. So using this particular tool, we are able to run all purchases through it, and it evaluates purchases based on 27 different metrics that might indicate that these are high risk for being unallowable in the program. And so that has been driving our risk-based audits.
And then, yeah, with Class Wallet, I think their contract end is coming up, but I think there's the option to extend it. Have you made any decisions on continuing to work with them?
So the treasurer's office has control over the contract. So ultimately that's going to be the treasurer's decision whether she wants to open this up for a request for proposals or to provide Class Wallet with an extension.
Did I read somewhere that you guys started asking for social security numbers? That wasn't a thing in the past, is that right?
That's correct. So as part of our process improvements, we are now asking for the last 4 digits of all account holders when they sign up for the program. And that allows us to do better residency verification than we were doing in the past. So we implemented that about 6 weeks ago for all new applicants coming onto the program. When we are in our renewal period come April, every single ESA account holder will be run through that system to ensure that they are still Arizona residents.
Were there any instances of non-Arizona residents using ESAs?
Yeah, over the last couple of years, we have found a very small group of folks who have residency in other states, and those cases have been referred to the Attorney General's office for prosecution.
In Florida, they have a very robust ESA program, and what the Republicans pushed through recently reforms because they found a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse from a recent audit. Has there been any audits done regarding the universal scholarships from 2022 on?
So the Auditor General's office is reviewing our program and our processes. And so we are subject to audits from other state agencies as well. I think the scope of their audits may not be as narrow as what you're referring to, Craig, but they are auditing us.
Are you working on the next draft of the ESA handbook, or is that, I guess, I don't know, in conversation now? Just what's the status on that?
The handbook was approved 8-1 by the state board.
Mhm.
After a lot of controversy, it was very satisfying that the state board supported it. And we're not making any changes to the handbook now.
Got 3 questions for John, if I could.
Okay, John.
Thank you, Craig.
You're very welcome. We obtained a lot of records involving Jenny Clark, and those records show that she has very good access to you and Superintendent Horne, and when there's a problem, parents complain to her, she goes directly to you, and the problems get solved. Why does she have such in-depth access to the ESA director when she's an activist for ESAs?
I will say that any organizations that are providing support to ESA families, we are going to work with. And so Jenny Clark works with an organization that does that. And so we are more than happy to work with her or any other person running those types of organizations.
Seems like she has pretty good access to the two of you, and most folks don't.
I wouldn't say that she has better access than anyone else who has a legitimate concern about students that they're supporting.
Let me add something.
Yep.
Jenny and I have disagreed on the state board about whether to approve certain things. She voted to approve dune buggies, and we voted not to. It was my motion not to approve it. So access means communication. It doesn't mean that we don't exercise independent judgment on every question.
2 other quick questions, and I'll stop maybe. John, I think your wife runs a micro school. How do you avoid a conflict of interest when you run the ESA program and your wife has a micro school?
So my wife does operate a micro school. One of our daughters is in that micro school. That daughter does not pay any tuition to that micro school. Not that it's not allowable. I mean, because this is run by an independent nonprofit board, but no tuition is paid to my wife's micro school on behalf of our daughter. So she uses her ESA dollars for a whole variety of enrichment activities.
Thanks for answering, because that's been an issue. And then another question I have, why do you folks allow a full allotment for scholarship funds to be awarded maybe on the last day of the quarter instead of prorating that? So a parent can have a child in public school and they can pull them out at Christmas break and they get a full allotment for the quarter, and then they get another allotment on January 1st. Why not prorate it?
That would be an additional burden on the ESA program to be able to handle that. And so long-standing practice has been that we always fund accounts on a quarterly basis, and we have remained consistent with that policy, especially in light of our resource constraints.
If the governor doesn't threaten to veto this time, and the legislature can give us some increase in our personnel to deal with 100,000 with a number designed for 11,000, we may be able to revisit that. Yes.
Yeah, I have actually a question for Ms. Wood. I just wanted to ask about your work as a parent liaison, and I know some parents were frustrated about communication. You know, it's been a few months now, so I just wanted to ask about your work in that position and how that's maybe eased some communication tensions.
Yes. What I've done is my role as ESA Outreach Ambassador initially was to reach out to underserved communities to make sure that they are aware that these empowerment scholarship accounts exist. And so my primary role has been to reach out to those communities. So I've been reaching out to communities out in Douglas, Yuma, Sierra Vista, Tucson, and meeting with those individuals in person. As far as the parents go, they have access to me. I have responded to emails. I have met with parents. We've met with parents in Tucson. We met with parents here. And yes, we could continue to do more. And that is my goal, is to continue to reach out to more parents as we continue to develop this role. So my goal this year is to start to set up meetings weekly with parents, new parents. And so that will also increase our communication. And as parents send me emails, I do my due diligence to make sure I get their email responses back to them as soon as possible. But I do double check with the various experts in our department to make sure I'm giving them correct information, but have no problem with meeting with parents and have no problem with continuing to outreach to parents across the state.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Are you all aware of any private schools raising their tuitions who are getting a lot of ESA students, or is that something you're asking about or keeping track of at all?
I'm not aware of any. Are you aware?
We don't track that information.
No.
Under this.
Any other questions? Yes.
Can I ask you an unrelated question after the press conference about the
Okay.
Empower Hotline? Okay, cool. Then I'm done.
All right. And then I know Univision's going to interview me in Spanish. We'll do that in my office.
I do have a quick question for the parents. And I know the program has been very good for you, and Paul News is also in stories about how it's helped a lot of different kids. I would appreciate your thoughts on, I know it's helped you, but what are your thoughts about some of the parents who are taking advantage of the program and it puts you guys in a bad light?
Don't like it. Yeah, hold on.
Can you spell your name for us, ma'am?
Carrasco. Don't like it because that puts in danger her program, and she's that we have come so far to get what she needs. And I would not like to put her back in a public school now that she's in high school, because I've been to high school and I know how it is. But I work with the Hispanic community. I have my phone, on Facebook. We have our association, and we help Hispanic families. We work with Univision too. And we tell them, this is, if you follow the instructions, that's why we have the handbook. You can call the ESA line. I have called the ESA line, and they have answered my questions. And it's getting better and better. But we tell them, if you do the things how the book is and what your kid needs, you're not going to have any problems. But we know there's always going to be bad people. And to them, we tell them, please don't mess up the program, because it's a beautiful, beautiful program, and it's a blessing for a lot of families. Yes.
I'd like to kind of speak to that as well. I think their push for additional funding to have a better handle on oversight would eliminate a lot of confusion or misdirected funding towards parents if they had enough staffing to oversee the spending or educate parents more as to what they can and can't do. So I think continuing to fight for additional funding is definitely needed to make this program stronger and more efficient for those parents who are utilizing it properly, to eliminate those parents who aren't using those funds properly and have them removed as quickly as possible.
I'll add that, as a former attorney general, I can't stand any fraud. And so when I took office, we hired an auditor, which at that time was John, who had been spending how many years in the Auditor General's office? 16 years in the Auditor General's office to audit, to prevent fraud. We hired an investigator for the first time that our predecessor did not have, doing everything we can to eliminate fraud. Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, with this 100,000, passing that benchmark, do you have a rough estimate of the cost? And, I guess what is the plan going into, there's been a lot of talk about the ESA program.
The cost of what? I'm sorry.
a budget issue, you know?
Yes,
the
yes.
legislature.
Okay,
So
let me
what's-
clear that up. Yeah. What's important in education, for the quality of education, is not the total amount of funding, but the amount of funding per pupil. You could have a big school with lots of funding, but a small amount per pupil, or a small school with a lot less funding, but more per pupil. Educationally, the small one would be better off. And so if a student leaves a public school to go to an ESA, the school loses the income from the student, but it also loses the cost of educating that student. And so the cost the funding per student remains constant. This is a very important distinction. The important thing is not the total cost, total funding, it's funding per pupil. And that is totally unaffected. Anybody else? If not, thank you all for being here, and I'll meet you in my office.
Speak Spanish.